Could it be that African Americans will not vote for Kamala Harris this election cycle because there hasn't been any significant investment within the African American communities in America, like the west side of Chicago, the south side of Chicago, LA, Watts, places like that? Could it be it has nothing to do with the color of someone's skin or what ethnicity or culture they're representing, but more so in actions, the actions of the party that's supposed to be for African Americans, and they've never seen any significant shift of economical investments within those particular communities. They've seen a huge investment within their communities. Now, if you're from Chicago, the communities I'm referring to are River North, Lincoln Park, Wicker Park, neighborhoods like that, where there's a lot of liberal people who are supposedly for African Americans and the causes of African Americans. And many of those communities contain liberals who seemingly fight for the causes of African Americans. And it makes it look like they're united as one with us. But you see, in America in the whole world is run on money. Like, I have to raise my child and feed my family, put gas in the car. And when Barack Obama came to a group of African Americans and said, hey, if you are not going to vote for Kamala Harris and you're going to vote for the other guy, Donald Trump, then it's because you have this fear of a woman being in control. But could it be that many African American men who get up every day, go to work 8 hours, 9 hours, and now they're seeing less and less finances to take care of their families? You see, people who have a family, children, they have different concerns than, let's say, a single person who does not have the responsibility of children and a family. So they're probably going to vote different. And may I take this time to say that the African American diaspora is not monolithic or homogenous. Within the African American diaspora, there are Africans from Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya. There are 10, 11, 12 generation African Americans who were brought over from Africa because of slavery, and their value systems and what they think are different. There are African Americans who have been living in poverty and in project-like, ghetto-like systems that think different than an African American who went to an HBCU, pledged Kappa Alpha Psi, Omega Psi Phi. They're making $120,000 or $160,000 a year, and they've been detached from the streets of Little Durk and drill music and rap artists and gang activity for many, many years. Matter of fact, they may have never been a part of that system. Their parents may have always been upper middle class, elitist, Cosby Show, Felicia Rashad, Bill Cosby type people. And so they don't think like Little Durk or people that are out there in the streets. So you get what I'm coming from. So for the Democratic Party to think that we think monolithic and that just because we put some superstar, which I'm going to predict that after this election, star power is not going to be what it used to be in the next election. It used to be that a superstar or a social influencer could say, go do this or vote for that person or wear this or vote this way or wear that. And everyone would simply listen to them and say, hey, if they're doing it, I'm going to do it. If they're with it, I'm with it. But I predict that after this election is over with, that you won't care if Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. You won't care if Lil Durk said this or said that or told you to think this way or think that way. Because quite frankly, with what's happening with Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and with so many Hollywood artists coming out to expose this type of behavior within Hollywood and in the music and entertainment industry, you've been hearing this echoed over and over that there's these orgies and initiations, sexual homophobic or homosexual initiations in order for them to get into the Hollywood elite circles and to get these deals, movie deals or music deals. So I think a lot of people are waking up. Actually, the church has been saying this for many, many years, but a lot of people say, I don't want to have anything to do with the church because my mama drove me to church and I don't like the pastor. I don't like that church. They're always preaching this, but I really want to go ahead and do this. But they're telling me that this isn't godly, so I don't want to have anything to do with the church. But they've been echoing these types of things for many, many, many years now, and a lot of people have been ignoring it. And now that it's all coming out, I think it was Cat Williams at the beginning of the year said that by the end of this year, a lot of things were going to be exposed within the music and entertainment industry. And it looks like him and Jaguar Wright and other people like that have been spot on. Actually, a little bit more accurate than some of the church prophets that have come up. But I'm not saying that they're not accurate, but I mean, this is something that we're seeing playing out as someone has spoken it a few months ago. Now it's actually happening. So back to what I'm talking about. I got a couple of things I have a couple of things I would like to discuss and get into today. If you have an ear, listen. African Americans are not voting for Democrats because there is no significant change and there is no significant investment within a lot of the communities in which African Americans come from. Maybe some don't live there anymore because some people have gone on to college and they have a great degree, and their friends also have graduated college, and their friends are Caucasian and European, and they've been invited now to some of the top restaurants in their city, and they're jet setting with their Caucasian friends, and they feel included now because those people are inviting them now to dinners and to their apartments and to their homes, and so they feel like they've arrived. But that's a small percentage of African American people who have arrived. There's still a huge and large majority of African American people that are living at the poverty line or below the poverty line. And I know I have people on both sides, liberals and conservatives. I know the voices are saying, well, why don't they do something about it? Why don't they pull themselves up out of their bootstraps? America's a country with so many opportunities, and they just are too lazy and are too stupid and are too whatever to not see it. I mean, we can have a discussion about this, and I could fall on both sides of this discussion because, yes, there are a lot of opportunities here, and yes, you have to go out there and take it, basically. But if someone is always being beat down and pushed down and hit, and they keep moving forward, and someone else is hitting them, and they keep moving forward, I want you to understand, why should a person keep on getting hit? We think that this is normal, that a person has to get pushed down and beat up and left in the gutter, and then they just finally get up, one last gasp of air and energy, and they pull themselves up and they finally get it. Meanwhile, the other person over there was no one pushing them down. There was no one knocking them upside the head. No one pushing them down on purpose. So why should this be an acceptable system anyway? We sort of applaud that person who got pushed down, started off in the projects, and rats and roaches are all over the apartment, and there was no food, and his mom had to work 4 jobs. His dad was nowhere in sight. And so we applaud that person who finally made it, barely graduated out of college with a 2.5 GPA, almost failing math because math is not emphasized in the inner city. But somehow the person got a tutor, paid extra money, made it, graduated, and now he's included with the elite circle of liberal people who are fighting for the causes of African American people in America. They're gonna make a change in this generation. And I've heard this many, many, many times before. My mom and dad's generation had people like that. And I applaud people who sincerely from the heart mean what they say, and are doing something to make the world a better place. I applaud people like that. I'm not trying to make fun of you. But what I'm saying is, really what I'm saying, I'm a very forward person, is that there's a lot of hypocrisy on the Democratic side. There are a lot of people who think that they're doing something because they talk a good talk, or maybe even because they protested in some protest march 2 years ago, 4 years ago, George Floyd. That was great. But you know what African American people who are poor, you know what poor people need? They need you to come into their neighborhood and buy the barbecue. They need you to come in their neighborhood and shop in their neighborhood. Or take from your 401k plan and invest in a business in that neighborhood. Or give some of your expertise, your college graduate expertise, go to that neighborhood and tutor those people. Find something to do, roll your sleeves up, but not one person, like thousands of people, like a movement. See, that's what talks. They say money talks and the BS walks. Money does talk. I mean, if you go to someone and you give them $25, $1,000, yes. I know people say, well, you need to teach them to fish and they'll fish for life, but then do that too. Then do that as well. This is why African Americans will not be voting for Kamala Harris, because it's not against Kamala Harris, it's against the Democratic Party and their failures over 35, 40 years, seen any significant improvement within those communities. As a matter of fact, what they have noticed is within the last 4 years that the government has placed migrants in those communities and have given them money, a place to live, some way for them to sustain a living. Meanwhile, they saw some of their cousins, some of their people lacking, some of their people asking, but there was nothing for them. And so it made it look like they were not important or valuable, and those people, the migrants, were more valuable than them. All of us are valuable. Migrants, African Americans, Caucasians, Europeans, everyone's valuable. But everyone has to be treated as if they are all equally valuable. And some people don't feel that way. Some people don't feel that way. I mean, what would it take to get billionaires to invest within the African American communities? I mean, I'm talking about invest in businesses there. Not to take it over and say, hey, we own this business. We invested $1 million, so now it's our building. But take a minority stake, 1%, 2% interest or a stake in that particular business. This is why African Americans will not be voting for the Democratic Party, and they're turning away in droves. The proof is in the pudding. A lot of people have had years to observe progress, movements within their very own city. They can go to another part of the city and see, wow, it's flourishing over here. They're not Republicans, they're Democrats. Then they go to their side of the city and they see it's falling apart, and it's been falling apart for the last 35 years. Democrats, maybe it's time for a change. And that's what's happening. And that's exactly what's happening.